Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's live stream on ways that you can design your career and your future. So last week we talked a little bit about how to how to be a pragmatic idealist, I guess is a good way of describing it. And basically we started to look at how your idealism and thinking through what you really want, that is really important in the career design process, as is finding ways to bring those ideals and those dreams to reality. And so basically, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and look at a activity in my career design studio that is a really effective way to help you understand how you can turn your dreams into action steps. And so basically, one of the things that's important when you are doing your career design is to understand what it's going to take to get you there. And so, for example, and we'll use this as an example, I want to write a book. And so I have been thinking about doing this for a while and have been working on it. And so that is something that if you just kind of keep it in this dream state of, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to write a book at some point, that doesn't give you really good action items and ways to kind of go forward. The other aspect too is to understand that by going through a planning activity in my career design studio, you understand the steps and the time that it's going to take to get you there. And that's really helpful to make a decision as to what do I want to do next. And so let's just go into my career design studio and I'll show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. And so we are still in the raw materials section of my career design studio. So we're still looking at who you are and what you want. And if you go to my life map, this gives you a way to kind of think through what it is you want out of your future to help you figure out what you're going to do next. And so what I recommend is by starting the life map activity with what got you to where you are right now. What are the major steps and incidents and jobs and decisions that affected you? And that way you can have a better understanding of who you are and maybe look for some patterns that can help you change some of your behaviors to make your planning and your career design more effective. And so I just wrote down a bunch of stuff. I mean, all of this is true. When I was 5 years old, I did want to be in the circus. But then obviously there's a big gap. I didn't talk about, then I decided I wanted to be an astronomer. And then in high school, I wanted to be a therapist. And but again, so you can make this as detailed as you want to help you understand some of your patterns, especially if you have just kind of floated along in your life and have not really understood, how did I get here? Why am I, at such and such an age doing this job when I really wanted to be over here? Or you can see how not making a decision at certain points helped you to kind of drift to where you are, or where you accomplished all your goals and then got to a place and where you were planning for a lot of your life, and then you're like, well, now what do I do? And or this isn't exactly what I thought it would be. So this activity is really powerful in a lot of different ways. And but what we're really going to be talking about is how you can use this to plan for your future and come up with what are you going to do next in your career design. Okay, so if you look through this, you've got an idea of, my different movements across the country, when I was in Peace Corps, when I got my master's, when I got my doctorate. And so let's just add a, publish my book. And let's say that I want to do that by the time I'm 50. And so once you put a goal here, then it's really useful to think through, so what are the steps that I need to take in order to reach my goal? So then we might have finish my book by the age of 48, and then maybe get an agent by the age of 49, and editing process. So that would need to be finished before you publish it. So we'll say 50. And so it doesn't matter the order that you put this in, it'll reorder once you click on submit. So let's just do that. And so yep, you can see how it's reordered, and then then it kind of gives a life map of, all right, so then what do I need to do? I need to finish my book, I need to get an agent. And since both of these are 30, so I probably want to publish my book to age of 31. So I can just go over here, click on edit, submit, and then it does the entire thing again. Okay, so one thing that's really useful is to then see if these are things that I really want to do. Do I want to finish and, write and finish my book? Do I want to spend the time getting an agent? Do I want to spend the time editing? And if that is something that when you're looking at that and part of you just kind of wilts, then this might not be the right goal for you. And the career design process really allows you to think through not only what you want to do, but what is it going to take to get you there, and see how you can make the journey as interesting and engaging as the final result. And so there are times that, so we talked a little bit about the 9 lives activity. And so this is where you just think of 9 different jobs or careers that would have been really exciting for you. So here's something that I will have a lot of my clients do, is to take their top 3 or 5 lives and fit it in their life map. And so let's say that, that one was an author. Okay, so we put that in there. I also want to, let's see, one thing that I want to do is to start a social enterprise incubator. Okay, and so let's say that I want to do that by age 5. Let's say that I want to become a university professor, and then I want to do that closer to retirement. So I might put that at 62. And then as I progress later in my life, I want to retire to Costa Rica, for example, and run a bar on the beach. So beach bar in Costa Rica when I'm 67. And so this way, especially for those people who really like to do a lot of different kinds of things and have a really hard time figuring out what to do next because everything is enticing. So what you do is you just put it in your life map sequentially. But by doing this, then this also really helps me to think through, all right, so I'm 48, and so if I am really serious about becoming an author, then what changes do I need to make in my life to make that happen? Now, in some ways, being an author is not the best example. So let's just kind of get rid of some of these here. And let's see what's left here. All right, so we'll just get rid of that. And so my next goal by the time I'm 55 is to start a social enterprise incubator. So then I can kind of work backwards from there of, so what do I need to do in order to do that? What are some skills that I need to get, the funding, the resources? And so then I can start adding things like create a business plan, and so if I am going, so let's say I do that by the time I'm 49, and then let's see, find investors. So I would need to have that by the time I'm, say, 52, and you know, buy a space. And so all of this helps me to just kind of think through what are the steps that I need to take in order to make my dreams come true. And so I'm talking about this a little bit like about running a business. So that's a little bit different than probably a lot of people who are listening who are really looking for their next job. But again, if we were to become a university professor as the next job that you want to do, and you don't have a PhD, then you would have to put that on there. So when you would start your PhD, when you would finish that, and so then that gives you an idea of when can I realistically accomplish some of my goals. The other thing too is if there are personal goals that you have, like you want to start a family and maybe you want to do certain kinds of work at the beginning of your children's lives and then move on to something else later on, then you can put all of that information in here as well. So it really is just a way to kind of help you think a little bit more linearly, to get a visual representation of what this looks like, and then to kind of sit back and look at this and reflect on, is this something that is interesting and exciting to me? Because the career design process is not something that is super easy to do. It is worth it if you were designing a future that is compelling and exciting for you. And if you don't, if your future is something where it's like, okay, yeah, sure, that's somewhat moderately interesting, then when things get tough, you're going to go back to some of these old patterns. So my patterns obviously are moving around a lot. And so that has kept me from getting traction in the things that I really want to do. So that's why you want to be looking at your goals, when you can accomplish them. What is it going to take to get you there? And then, is what I'm building for myself something that I am willing to put the hard work into? And if you do this enough, if you really break down the pieces, then your next step is going to be a lot clearer. And so, for example, one step for becoming a university professor could be getting an administrative job at a university so that you can get free tuition. All right, so then that is the next step that I want to take is identify the university and then do all of the networking and career planning goals, the career strategies that are coming up later in my career design studio. But you want to make sure that you're moving in the right direction. So what I want to encourage you to do is to spend, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, but thinking about your future, thinking about, like, if you could cram every single thing that you would love to do in your life into your life map. When would you do it? What would it look like? How interesting, how exciting is that to you? And then what is your next step forward? And then once you know what your next step is, then you do that. And that gets you on your way. So if you have got any questions, any observations, if you want to share some aspects of your life map with the rest of us in the comments below, would love to see them. And otherwise, let's get back to career designing. All right, everyone, I will see you next week.